Hello everyone, James here from Pyramid Performance with a video covering a warm-up and mobility routine designed to give our members who are participating in our Zoom classes something they can do before they enter the workout. Obviously with Zoom having a 40-minute limit, it means that we want them to get themselves warmed up beforehand. However, feel free to watch this video and get involved even if you're just looking to loosen up on a day-to-day basis, or whether you're looking for a warm-up to take place before any of your workouts you're looking to get involved in. So we start this warm-up up with 5 around the worlds on each side. Now what's really important when you're doing this is that you really stretch those fingers as far away from the center of mass as you possibly can. So you want them going right up above the head, sweep it out as far out to the sides as you can. Try and make your fingers brush the floor, making sure that you're keeping the backs of your legs nice and straight so you're stretching off those hamstrings. You're going to really feel this loosen up those hamstrings a little bit on the lower back as well as just starting to get a little bit of rotation side to side. Now speaking of rotation, we're now going to go down to those toe touches, twisting. Okay, so we want the right hand to go down to that left toe, come up to straight, and then you want to take yourself down on the alternate side. Now what's important here is that when you are reaching down, do try and make sure that you stretch the opposing arm back up towards the sky as far as you possibly can, and we're looking, like I say, 5 on each side. We're then going to continue with this movement on the hamstrings, making sure we're getting them really dynamically stretched by doing some nice high kicks. And again, we're going to try and make sure that we're kicking up high to the front, keeping the leg as straight as we possibly can with a good swing, but making sure that we're bringing alternate toe to alternate hand. We're then going to walk ourselves out, keeping the backs of the legs as straight as we possibly can. We're going to stay down in that high plank position. We're going to take a step up, first of all, with the right foot to the right hand side of the right hand. And once we've got a nice deep stretch on the groin and hip area, we're then going to twist and turn to the side. Once we've achieved that stretch, we'll take a step back and we're going to repeat the same on the other side. So again, you take a step up this time with the left foot. You're going to push down into that stretch. Make sure you're getting a real good stretch on the inside of the thigh, on the groin, on the hips. Then turn and twist, facing the knee that you step forward with. And with this one, guys, we're going to be looking again at about 5 each side before we move on to the next stretch. Really good deep stretch this for those hips, as well as being decent as well, getting that rotation in to warm up the lower back and the abdomen and all those muscles around the middle. So we're then going to continue that stretch into a little bit of a flow, more like a yoga flow. You're going to push your weight backwards into your heels, sticking your bum back to go into what's called a downward facing dog position. But rather than holding and pushing into that stretch like you would do with yoga, I want you to kind of almost bounce back onto your heels a little bit, stretching off the calves, the glutes, the hamstrings, that posterior chain. Once you've done that, you're then going to sweep the body forward, pushing the hips towards the floor, looking up towards the sky into what's called an upward facing dog. And that's going to stretch off the abdomen. And speaking of that stretch of the abdomen and the upper body, we're now going to also be activating some of the upper body with some cobra based press up. So it's like almost like a floor press. You're rolling yourself down onto the floor, chest touches the floor, and you're pushing up to stretch your chest up nice and high. We're just going to do 5 of those. You're then going to return to like a table position, so you're on all fours, and you're going to take that right hand, you're going to take it right between the gap between your knee and the arm, stretch off the back, and again turn and twist. So again, more rotation in there, as well as giving the back and the shoulders a really good stretch off. It's also going to be stretching off your chest as well as you reach up nice and high. You're going to be looking to do 5 of these on each side, okay? So really important, again, try and achieve as much of a stretch on the back as you can. Don't just do a token movement with the hand going underneath the arm. Make sure you really stretch it and then turn that body. Try not to let the hips do too much of the turning. Try and make sure it's your chest which is opening out first, so you're going to feel that stretch all up there. And you'll already be starting to feel a little bit warmer now, ready to rock and roll for the session ahead. So we're staying in that table position. We're now going to do a stretch called a cat-cow. This is where you're going to really kind of arch the back up. You're going to create that stretch on the back, making the chest small, the back big, and then you're going to depress those shoulders, make the chest big and make the back small. You're just going to go between the two. Okay, that's going to really warm up that upper body. It's going to stretch off your chest, it's going to stretch off your back, your shoulders, but also get some of your lower back as well, which is really important. We're going to go into a little bit more sort of activation work here. So we're going to do the glute kick back. Activating your glutes is incredibly important, especially if you've had issues with your lower back and like before. We want to wake them up before we do most of our sessions. And we're going to be bringing that knee to the front, which is going to stretch up the hips a little bit. Then we're going to drive it out so the leg goes parallel with the body. So it should be in line with your shoulders, your hips, and then you should be able to draw a nice straight line to your knee and your ankle. But once that leg is up at parallel, you want to squeeze the glutes to raise it up a little bit, and that's going to wake them up and kind of activate them ready for the session. We're going to posture up onto our knees at that point, arms out to the front, and we're going to do these single arm archer rows. Now this is really designed to warm up and stretch off the back, okay? So I'm going to really squeeze the shoulder blade together when you do this. Lift the elbow up high. Make sure you're trying to imagine that your shoulder blade is coming right around the spine, and then stretch out to the front and alternate the sides. And with this one, we're just going to be going again for that 5 on each side, okay? So again, make sure you're reaching those hands really far out from the body. Get a good stretch as you bring it back. Try and keep the elbow up high. And then we're going to go into some rotations on the shoulders, so a little bit more mobility based. This warm up, of course, is switching between dynamic stretching, mobility generally, and activation. It's a very general warm up. We're going to go from the sort of small movement of the shoulder rolls forward for 5 into big arm circles, so bigger range of movement to open up those shoulders for 5. Then we're going to do the same backwards, so little shoulder rolls backwards for 5, and then big arm circles backwards for 5 as well. From here, again, warming up the upper body, we're going to start scissoring those arms, really make a big movement, squeezing the back together, which will open up the chest, and then reverse on the other way, and alternate which side you're going to get that scissoring over the top with, okay? That's really going to be important. We're going to stand ourselves up. We're just going to finish off with a little bit deep squat work, which is going to warm up loads of areas of the body. Squat is, you know, although predominantly a quad-based exercise, you are going to be working a lot of your glutes and other areas as well as the rest of your body. You're going to sit deep into this to create that stretch, nice and deep, create that movement on the ankles, on the knees, on the hips as well. And when you get down to the bottom of that, just sip a little bit deeper than you would do with a normal squat. Just place the elbows on the inside of your thighs and push outwards a little bit. And that should take you towards the end of your warm-up. So there you have it, guys, about 5-6 minutes of mobility and dynamic stretching work. It's a very general warm-up, so really good if you're doing a full body session, but you could use this for any warm-up that you're looking to take part in. You could also just use this as a little bit of a routine to limber up every single day to get the body moving as well. Of course, if you know that your workout's going to be a bit more specific on one particular area, then of course you can combine some of the movements from this with others which are going to focus on that area of the body. I hope you enjoyed this video today, guys, and I hope you're going to find it useful. Those of you that are members of Pyramid Performance, please warm yourselves up before you take part in the Zoom classes going forward, so we can make the most of the 40 minutes that we have together.